Madam Chair, the floor is yours.
Yes, sir. Mr. Stenbridge.
Present.
Mr. Valencia.
Present.
Ms. Wewell.
Present.
Ms. Logue. I see you. She didn't say present, but that's fine. So just as a reminder, we are now a 5-member board, and any applicant seeking an administrative deferral is free to do so. Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes, Madam Chair, and I will also bring up that and ask if there are any requests for withdrawals or deferrals.
Yes, Mr. Secretary. Yes,
Go
Mr.
right
Secretary. 3915 Washington Street, please.
915 Washington.
First case.
And that would be case BOA 1514378. Would you please explain to the board?
Yes. Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Ryan Spitz, Adams and Moranci, business address of 168 8th Street, first floor, South Boston. Given that the board is down to only 5 members, we'd like to request administrative deferral on this matter, please.
Thank you. Javier?
Yes. Madam Chair, February 6th would be the next date.
Okay. Mr. Spitz?
Yes, that would be great, please.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
Motion to defer until February 6, 2024.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Logue?
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries.
Great, thank you.
Any further requests for withdrawals or deferrals from this contract? Hearing none, we will move on then to case BOA 1493506 with the address of 6 Greeno Avenue. Is the applicant and or their representative present to explain to the board?
Okay, Russell, I see your hand is raised. Are you here to give, is this your proposal?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So I'm here on behalf of Katie, owner of 6 Great.
Can you please speak up? We can hardly hear you.
I'm sorry, is this better?
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you. Yes, I'm here on behalf of Katie Eno, the owner of 6 Greeno Ave. What Ms. Eno is proposing before the board today is to allow for a curb that be installed on the right-hand side of her property, to allow for a driveway that be installed that will accommodate 2 off-street parking spaces for her own purposes. We have gone before, we have both had an abutters meeting as well as a meeting before the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association, at which time the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association voted unanimously to recommend approval. We've also submitted to the board for their consideration a number of letters of support from Ms. Eno's neighbors and abutters along Greeno Avenue. And as such,
I'm sorry, Mr. Russell, you just said Hyde Park Association. This is in JP. Did I mishear you?
my apologies. I'm sorry. I'm reading from a bad cue card. Yes, Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Association. My apologies to it.
Okay.
Including the Jamaica Plain Neighborhood Association. Yes, we have gone before them. We did get the unanimous approval. We also have before the board for their consideration a number of Ms. Eno's neighbors and abutters who have also lent support and full letters of support for the board's consideration. We would ask for favorable consideration and action at this time.
So can you clarify at this time, are there on-street parking spaces there, or is that, yes, correct?
Presently, there are on-street parking spaces there. What is proposed would be to allow for the curb cut, which is, as described on the survey plan provided, would be 14 foot in width. But again, it would be to accommodate 2 off-street parking spaces. So there'd be a net gain of on-street parking as a result of this, because of course, Ms. Eno's car and one other one would be removed from the street itself.
Okay, are there questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. Due to personnel changes, I can't speak to specific details regarding the Butters meeting, but I know that they had favorable interactions with the local civic association. As they mentioned, they met with the JPNC and received their support for this proposal. With that, we'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Okay, Christine?
Hi, I live just up the street from Katie on Greeno Park, and I've known her since before she was born because she's the fourth or fifth generation to own that house.
Okay.
I'd like to see her get that parking space, or I think the council said 2 parking spaces, but whatever. If there have been a lot of parking curb cuts in this neighborhood, and because parking on the street is becoming a problem. So I'd really like to see her get that. And every neighbor I've talked to has been in favor of this. So I'd just like to put my 2 cents in.
Thank you.
Okay.
DW Cafe, you looking to give testimony here? Okay, and then caller 617947. If you press *3, that will unmute you if you're looking to give testimony here for this proposal.
Hello?
Yes, hi, go ahead.
Hi, hi, thank you. My name is Carla Gracie. I'm a neighbor also on Greeno Park and feel very similar to Christine O'Toole, which I'd love to see Catherine Enos get this parking. It would alleviate guest parking for us as well on Greeno Ave, but it's also a safety issue for her. She's a lovely person, and I just feel like it makes a lot of sense for the integrity of the building. It looks it would be very organic and natural there. I sell real estate in the area, and I just think it would be a good thing for her, and I hope the board will approve this.
Okay, let me see. Okay, I'll go back to DW Cafe. Trying to unmute you. Okay, you're unmuted. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead. Can you state your name and address and tell us if you're in support or opposition?
My name is Dewey Kwan. I'm the owner of the DW Cafe. It's on 23 Hudson Street, Chinatown.
I'm sorry, we're not hearing that case yet, sir. We're on 6 Greeno Ave.
Okay.
Yours is the last case on this agenda.
I'm going to make you a panelist, though. Let me just get to the next. Sam, you looking to give testimony for this proposal?
Yeah, I am. Can you hear
Go
me?
ahead. Yes.
Hi, how you doing? So obviously I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a planner, but I am, and I have discussed with the 3 abutting properties, directly abutting properties, not folks that are up the road. Our initial concern was that this was, and in your documentations it states that it's for 1 parking space. I now understand that's been amended to 2. Greeno Street is a very busy street with a lot of street parking. It also has residential and retail amenities that need to be serviced. The curb cut is proposed for 14 feet, which is about the space of a car and a half. So there's no net gain here aside to the abutter, aside to the applicant. And if it's for 1 car, then it's out of conformance. There's a lot of other reasons that it's out of conformance, as you know, Article 55, Section 9. It's, it's taking away green space in a very tight lot. But more concerning to me is that there's not the right amount of space between where the driveway will be put and our 2nd floor dormer. There needs to be at least 5 feet of space. And there isn't going to be that. And that dormer happens to be a bedroom. And to have cars entering that space at nighttime that are less than the 5 feet required is just not appropriate when it's a child's bedroom. So I'm firmly opposed, as are the 2 immediate abutting neighbors.
Mr. Flood, can you just confirm, are you the direct abutter to the right, 8 Greeno?
Correct.
So we know who we're talking. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry I didn't clarify that. I'm not used to these proceedings.
No worries, sir. Any
If
other
you
reason?
do look at the...
Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I think we're all set.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have a
All right.
motion? I'm
Can you
sorry.
hear me now?
I'm sorry, were you still wrapping up?
Yeah, well, someone muted me, I
Okay,
don't know why.
I'm sorry. Please wrap up. Yep,
If you do
go
look at
ahead.
the survey, you will note that dormer that is very close to the proposed driveway, 2.5 feet, I think it says. Maybe there's a little bit of room, but that's significantly closer than the 5 feet that the guidelines direct. And again, this is a child's bedroom, so to have all these non-conforming uses and then to put something that it really has zero benefit to the community, actually a negative benefit to the community, because you're taking away street parking for the retail, and you're also creating an ingress and egress issue as these cars back in and out of the driveways. Now, I know that we've all got driveways as well, but these are driveways that people paid for. That this has value.
Thank you, sir. Any other questions from the board?
Madam Chair, if anyone from the BPDA can speak to their recommendation.
Mr. Hampton, are you present?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board, Jeff Hansen, BPDA. We received plans for one parking space. This is the first that we're hearing of two, and we don't show anything that has two spaces. The BPDA does not support a one-to-one ratio. You're taking an on-street parking space and essentially privatizing it. Our recommendation may have changed if we saw plans for two, but if it is going to be a one-to-one ratio, then we recommend denial.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I will put forward a motion of denial without prejudice. My reasoning is based on the BPDA memo that points to the loss of open space on site and overall the general recommendation and policies of the city.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Stenbridge.
Yes.
Mr. Valencia.
Yes.
Ms. Wewell.
Yes.
Ms. Logue. Yeah. Chair also votes yes, motion carries.
Next, we have case BOA 1396801 with the address of 251 to 253 Wood Avenue. Is the applicant and or the representative present?
I am, Mr. Secretary. Good afternoon. This is Mike Ross. I am an attorney at the law firm of Prince Lobel. I'm here on behalf of my client, Ignatius Nguyen, along with the architect Bon Chipuis. This is a good slide, Madam Ambassador, to start on. The purpose of our appearance today relates to the appellant's purchase of 0 Ellard Road, which you can see here is the 2,566 square foot parcel that is at the rear of the current property, which is known as 251-253 Wood Ave, that the appellant owns and has owned for many years. The appellant purchased 0 Ellard Road well over a year ago. However, when he approached the neighbors to discuss his plans that are before you today, he heard overwhelmingly about one of the issues relating to an existing tenant. So he put his plans on hold for a year. He replaced the problem tenant, hired a professional management company, and began making some immediate improvements to this existing property. Next slide, please. So we are here now, 1 year later, to propose adding an additional 2 units to this existing corner lot, 2-family building. So the new plan will expand the existing 6,014 square foot corner lot parcel to become an 8,580 square foot parcel, to now allow for the 2 new dwelling units for a total of 4 units.
So you might want to look
Yeah, I did horribly. I was so underprepared.
Jessica, can you please mute? Thank you.
Yeah, let me figure out who that is. Okay, thanks.
Please proceed.
Yep, to add these 2 new units. In addition, there will also be 5 new parking spaces for a total of 7 parking spaces, notwithstanding the tandem nature of the existing, but that will accommodate the zoning requirement for the 2 new units. And also, the curb cuts you see are existing curb cuts, one on Ellard Road and, of course, the original. So next slide, please. So the next 2 floor plan slides show you all the floor plans in the proposed project. It shows the addition on the rear of this building. And so so it's 2 new units. The first unit is contained exclusively, you're seeing the attic floor in the basement. Maybe we go to the next slide, Madam Ambassador. So the first floor unit is contained entirely on that first, or the first unit is contained entirely on that first floor. It's a 3-bedroom, 1 bath, and it's approximately 1,340 square feet. The second unit is on the 2nd and 3rd floors, so that 2nd floor there, and then the 3rd floor is in the previous slide, actually. And that unit is a 4-bedroom, 2 bath, and it's approximately 2,011 square feet. And it also contains 2 outdoor balconies on the front of the building and on the side of the building. If you go to the next 2 slides, they'll show the elevations of the proposed addition against the existing building, both the sides and the front and rear on the next slide as well. And then if you go to the next few slides here, what you'll see there, that's the existing building on the right, 251-253 Wood Ave, with Ellard Road being the street going down that road there. And then, yep, the next slide there, that was 0 Ellard Road prior to the purchase, and then with, the building, the existing building on the right, and then that's 0 Ellard Road after the purchase. You can see a new fence went up, and the property was landscaped, as well as other upgrades to the property that are not shown here. And just quickly, Madam Chair, on the zoning relief that we're seeking here today. So because we're increasing the nonconformity of what is a 2-family and a 1-family district, and that it exceeds the 25% massing, we were cited for that. The FAR for this part of Hyde Park is 0.50. The existing structure is just over that, and this proposed structure would bring us to 0.69 FAR. For open space, usable open space, we were cited with the requirement being 1,800 square feet per unit, and we are at 641 square feet per unit, but also plus we have balconies. We were cited for the number of stories, 2.5 stories. I thought we were pretty close to 2.5, but we might have been just over it, so we were cited for that. We were cited for the side yard to our abutter on the right of us. We're at 7.2, which is in a 10. And then this being a corner lot, we were cited for the 2 front yard measurements along the front of the building on Wood Ave, the front and the side of the building on Ellard Road. So that would be an 18.6 and a 9.4 respectively in a 25-foot zone, or requirement rather. The lot width, again, it's an existing condition. The lot width is 47 on Wood Ave, and the requirement is a 60-foot lot width. And then the location of the entry. We were cited for the location of the entry, but both entrances are on Wood Ave, so I'm not sure why we were cited for that, but we were cited for that. So that's, I can pause there, Madam Chair, and see if there are any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Ross. Are there questions from the board?
Yes, Mr. Ross, can you tell me again how many parking spaces do you have, including the existing ones and the ones you are creating?
7 parking spaces all day. However, the existing ones you see are tandem, and zoning doesn't give you full credit for those. That being said, because this is a building that's pre-existing of the neighborhood zoning, we're only cited for the zoning requirement of the 2 parking spaces per unit for the 2 new units. So as zoning goes, we would need to have 4 parking spaces all day in this property for the new development. But after the community process, we were able to find the 5 in the rear, and for a total of 7 altogether.
7 for 4 units.
7 parking spaces for 4 units. The front one are tandem, so they wouldn't count as 7. You would probably count it as 6. But the neighborhood dialogue was very extensive about parking, and initially we had 4, only 4 in the rear, and we came back and we added that 5th as part of the community process.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from the board?
I have a question based on what Attorney Ross just said. Can you speak to that a little bit more on, why you don't get full credit for the tandem? Is it the size of the stalls that you need to provide, or is it the configuration?
It's the fact that there's 1 car in front of the other. The zoning code, and it's, and I want to apologize because I'm doing this a little bit from memory. Remember we well, but each neighborhood is slightly different on this point. They all treat it differently, but they all treat tandem not to get the full credit because you have to move 1 car to get the other. You would get a maneuverability issue often if it was just hard to make the turning radius. But in the case of tandem, they're kind of their own unique situation, and they normally do not give you the full credit for tandem spaces. Different neighborhoods treat it differently. Some give you half a point or 0.75. That depends exactly where you are in the city.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Other questions from the board? Hearing none, can I have public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This time, the Mayor's Office would like to defer to the judgment of this board. As you heard from the applicant's representation, this went through an extensive community process. We understand that they were in contact with the local civic association, which is the East River Street Neighborhood Association. With that, we'll defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Caller 1455, I just unmuted you. You're looking to give testimony here?
Yes, afternoon, Madam Chair. I didn't come for this particular matter, but I just made an observation, hearing the testimony, that I think it's missing a zoning violation. I didn't hear insufficient lot size. The 2-family zone, they need 2,000 more square feet for each additional unit they're putting in, which this lot size doesn't accommodate. So I just as an observer, I want to bring attention that the violation is missing. Lot size as well.
Okay, well, thank you. We'll make note of that. Jordan?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board. Jordan Frias here from Councilor Ricardo Arroyo's office. We'd like to call record and support. Thank you.
Okay, and Daniel?
Hi, yes, I'm the homeowner of 72 Lewiston Street, and I have a problem with the zoning and with going forward with it. There's no parking already on the street, and if there was to be more parking, then he created more parking. There's still going to be a lot of parking, and there's still going to be a lot of on-street parking. We have disabled veterans around here, and they still have problems, walking to their car, and they had to park their car, further down the street. Another problem that we have is that it's going to be the largest structure around here. If you were to go on Google Maps, every house around here in the whole mile radius is a 2-family home or anything like that, and we just don't want a large structure like that being built in our community.
Thank you.
And I have no additional raised hands.
Okay. Any additional questions from the board? Mr. Hampton, are you still with us? Could you just share your recommendation for the record?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. We recommended denial without prejudice due to the number of violations and that we think that even with adding 2 units, it's excessive, and we also believe that the rear addition is excessive, so we recommend it denial without prejudice.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I could very quickly.
Yes, please.
So the property does, it is a corner lot, as I mentioned, and it does abut a 2F district. So it's on the border of a transition of another district. The new parcel being added to the existing property which had its own curb cut. So presumably at one point something was happening there. It created this opportunity for the tenant for the property owner to add 2 more units, going from 2 to 4 on a near, you're approaching 10,000 square feet, you're at 8,500 square feet thereabouts. We all do work in this space. That's 4 units on that amount of square footage, even in a 1F transitioning to 2F district certainly is not over the top. It creates additional units. We're not starting over on the units. We're just adding 2 new ones that'll keep the cost down. This will be market rate housing at probably the most affordable end of that. So it's an opportunity to create new units. So just wanted to respond in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions from the board? With that, may I have a motion?
May I add something?
We're taking a motion. May I have a motion?
Should I make a motion for approval with BPDA review, special attention to increasing the open space in the back?
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
I'm going to vote no.
Ms. Logue?
Yes.
Wow. The chair votes no, the motion does not carry. Is there another motion?
Madam Chair, I'll put forward a motion of denial without prejudice. I just think this needs more work with the bulk of the addition and the amount of paving proposed for this site. And that's the extent of my feedback on this.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Logue? Ms. Logue? Sorry.
Yes.
Chair votes yes, the motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, we have case BOA 1537358 with the address of 1081 River Street. Is the applicant and would the representative present to explain?
Yes, good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the board, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, Miller, and Hanley, here on behalf of Whiteacre Properties and Skybridge Properties LLC. With me today is Ennis Shehu, and then our architect is Eric Zackerson from Context. Madam Ambassador, you can go, this is just the cover sheet, which we'll go back to. Next slide. Our team, which I just went through, and I can quickly go through some slides and then toss it over to Eric to go through some of our presentation. You can see the site here in red. It's located on River Street between Lincoln Street and West Street. It's about a half-mile walking distance of both the Hyde Park and Fairmont commuter rail stations. The site is an oversized lot of approximately 15,000 square feet. It's directly adjacent to an existing 16-unit rental building at 7 Lincoln Street. We are in a 2F 4000 zoning subdistrict, which you'll see in a minute, but it is an edge condition on River Street, and it is a very large oversized lot for the neighborhood. Next slide, please. This is just a closer up of the site with some context around it. You can see the site again there in the middle, highlighted in white at 1081 River Street. You can see the 16-unit residential building that I mentioned adjacent to the site at the left. It's 7 Lincoln Street. That's a 4-story building. And then there are other larger buildings up and down River Street as well throughout the immediate neighborhood. You'll see in a minute the site does have a varying grade change. Generally slopes to a low point at the rear of the site with a high point in the middle. The front of the site is currently about 6 feet above the sidewalk, which we're taking into consideration with the project. Next slide, please. This is just some additional photos of the area along River Street, just to provide some context. Next slide. And I promise, Madam Chair, the presentation says 37 slides, but that includes an appendix. It's not how long our presentation is, so don't have a heart attack.
Thank you, I won't.
I know it's been a long day. This is the existing rear yard, just to show some photos of what's there now. It's really an overgrown area at the rear of the site, a lot of invasive species. What we're proposing to do, and you'll see in a minute, is clean this up, maintain as much as we can, and then re-landscape as part of the proposed project. Next slide. So I'll toss it over to Eric in 1 second, but just to set the table here on the overall project before he goes into more detail. This was an Article 80 small project review project. It was approved by the BPDA in August. It's for a 4-story residential rental building of about 27,500 square feet. The proposal includes 28 rental units with 15 on-site parking spaces, which you can see here, and they are at grade, and they are accessed via an existing curb cut. The project will include 6 IDP units. I know Mr. Valencia may ask that question. So we do ask, we are including 6 IDP units, which equals a robust 21.5% affordable ratio out of the 28 units. And then as you can see here, and Mr. Zackerson will tell you in more detail, we do have over 9,000 square feet of open space, a combination of ground level open space, which you can see here, ground level community patio of over 300 square feet at the top of the screen, which opens up from a roughly 500 square foot community room, as well as unit balconies and a common roof deck. So really a large variety of different options for the residents to use at grade and inside, outside, et cetera, for open space. So I will, Eric, are you on? If you want to go through, take too much of your thunder, but maybe quickly go through these, and then I'll take it at the end. Go ahead, Eric.
Thanks, Nick. You already got to say 9,000 square feet of open space. So as you can see, River Street is on the right side of this drawing. This is the largest lot, but also we want to be respectful of neighbors, smaller neighbors on our top of the page and to the rear of the page. So the site has a 15-foot setback on the front yard before you get to the building, 20 foot on the rear yard, and then 10 foot on that side yard at the top of the page. Then it'll all be green space. A lot of those trees we're able to clean up and maintain, and then plant some new ones to make up for those that get removed. The total on this floor is 5,000 square feet of green open space. There would be on the River Street side, in the light purple here, a large lobby welcoming people from both the parking and from the street. There's a community room in the darker purple at the upper edge of the page, and we're going to have a small outdoor space that's adjacent to that. The rear upper area has an enclosed bike room that would have bike parking for 28 people, or 28 bikes, and then a corridor that leads back to the lobby and the elevator in the front of the building. And then in the lower right, we have 1 ground floor unit. This is a 2-bed, 1-bath. All of the units in the building are going to be Group 1 accessible. There is an elevator, and that is the requirement. That's what we're going to meet. The driveway, the existing driveway that you see at the lower right, is the existing driveway to the site. Although, because there is a localized hill in the middle of the site, we'll be lowering the whole building. The existing 2-family sits on top of about a 7.5-foot tall hill. As I said, it's localized. It's only within this site, and all of that will be removed in order to bring the building down to the sidewalk level. Next slide. please. Thank you. This is a similar drawing, just in case anybody had any questions, the dimensions are a little more clear, there's no color. Next slide. So this is a typical floor. There's a mix, a healthy mix of 2-bed, 2-bath, 1-bed, 1-bath studios on each floor. There are 9 units per floor, and so 27 on the 3 levels, the levels 2, 3, and 4, but identical. The 2 front units have large decks facing towards the street. The rest of the units have smaller decks, but each one has a small deck adjacent to its living space in order to kind of give them some private space in addition to the larger green space that you see down below. This drawing happens to be highlighting kind of the mix of IDP units, and I think the next couple pages are just the reiterations of those and where those IDP units are proposed to be located. Next slide. And the 3rd floor, next slide. And the top of the building would have a 2,000 plus square foot common roof deck served by an elevator and 2 staircases, but also pushed to the middle of the building so that it's less likely to impact the neighbors. We want to make sure there's good green space and a good open space for communal gathering, but we also want to respect our neighbors. And so with the combination at the rear of 20 foot to the building, plus an additional 12 feet on the top, means that the rear of the deck will be more than 35 feet from the neighbor to the rear. And we just wanted to make sure that was, this proposed space is respectful of those neighbors. Next slide.
I think I can take it from here, Eric. Thank you. Pass it back to me. Thanks, Eric. So just to show the zoning chart, we do need zoning relief, as you can see from multiple areas of the project. It is still, we believe, scale to complement its kind of unique location on River Street with substantial grade changes, which impacts kind of the heights and setbacks and things that we can do. It's also an oversized lot, as I had mentioned, it is in a 2F 5000, but it's on River Street, which is not in the neighborhood. It's on, a busy thoroughfare. I'm happy to go through these in more detail if the board has questions. I do want to note that the height, we do need a height variance for 4 stories. The bulk of the building is actually 43 feet 10 inches to the roof, but the chart we have as 52 feet 11 inches, just because that's the height to the head house for the roof access, which is part of zoning, but that's only for a small portion of the roof, obviously. The majority of the building is only that 43 foot 10 inch height. Next slide, please. I think this is just our refusal letter, again, just to show and visualize kind of what I had mentioned above and details the chart. Again, happy to go through these in more detail, but for the most part, we do need zoning relief for these, but they are not necessarily far off for a lot of these. A lot of these are the minimum relief necessary for the project. Next slide, please. I think these are the next couple slides are just quick renderings from Eric and his team, which did a great job to show how this looks actually from the street. This is just a rendering. If you go back up, just sorry, Madam Ambassador, really quickly, thank you. You can see, just wanted to reference what Eric had mentioned, that we did bring the front yard down. Right now, there's a pretty large retaining wall. And there's trees growing in the sidewalk, and it's just not super accessible. So what we've done is we brought the front yard down, removed that existing retaining wall, provided a really nice front yard entryway, and the building is set back from the street quite a bit. I believe we're at about 12 feet, 11 and a half or 12 feet to the front of the building. Next slide is just a rendering, I believe, from the other side, just to give you a perspective from the other side of the street. Again, you can see that setback and kind of some of the maneuverings that Eric and his team did on the building, with balconies and insets and windows and things of that like. And final slide, I think, is just a final image of the project. Again, that concludes our presentation, Madam Chair. I just want to say that, again, this is a 28-unit development. 6 of the units are affordable, so it is 21.5% affordable. That includes, out of those 6 units, it includes 2 bedrooms, 2 studios, a 1 bedroom, and, I'm sorry, it includes a 3-bedroom, 2 2-bedrooms, 2 studios, and a 1-bed. So a huge range, including a 3-bedroom, which is obviously much in demand. There's only 3 3-bedroom units in the whole project, and one of them we're designating as affordable, which I think is important to note. And then the final thing I'll just note, Madam Chair, is that I know the mayor's office will speak to this, but we did get support from the district city councilor Arroyo. I know his chief of staff is on. We did get a letter of support from State Rep Consalvo. We did get a letter of support from the Hyde Park Central River Neighborhood Group and Miss Melanie Day, who hosts, who runs that group. And then to the immediate left of this image here, that brick building is that 16-unit multifamily residential building at 7 Lincoln Street. And we also received a letter of support from that property owner as well. So thank you very much for listening to us, and happy to answer any questions that you may. Thank you.
Thank you, appreciate it. It looks, so floor-wise, it looks in line with the building to the left that we're looking at. How's the height differential? It looks just a little bit higher.
So yeah, it is a little bit higher. Eric maybe could answer that in a little bit more detail. It is a little bit higher for 2 reasons. One, the grade change that I had referenced, our site, I believe, is a little bit higher. You can see it start to slope up towards us. Also, they have a 4-story building, but their ground floor is kind of like a half floor, I believe, if that's right, Eric. I believe.
Right. We're going to end up being about a half story taller than that building to our left.
So we'll be about a half story taller. It's the same amount of stories, but because of the grade change and because of, again, I believe their lower level is a little bit kind of sunken into the ground, there is a slight increase in height to our building from theirs.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Yes, Madam Chair, members of the board, Connor Newman with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. At this time, the Mayor's Office will defer judgment to this board. As you will hear, they went through an extensive BPDA process. With that, we'll defer to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. BPDA?
Yeah, good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Daniel Polanco here, project manager at BPDA. The proponent submitted an application for small project review on March 27, 2023. I was able to host a meeting on April 26, 2023. They went through the community process and whole Article 80 process for this project, and they received board approval from the BPDA board on August 17, 2023. Madam Chair, thank you so much.
Thank you. Jordan?
I have no raisings.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the board. Jordan here again from Councilor Ricardo Arroyo's office. Just want to go on record as part of this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and I have no raised hand.
Okay. Are there any other questions from the board?
Madam Chair, I apologize. There's a couple of raised hands that just popped up.
Oh, okay. Jessica, do you see them? I don't see them, so Jessica, you
Madam
can.
Yes.
Chair, Ambassador, I do have my hand raised, and you said there was no hands raised.
Okay, can you identify yourself and your address, and please state whether you're in support or opposition?
Okay, thank you. This is Craig Martin, Colchester Street, Hyde Park. I'm a member of the Hyde Park Neighborhood Association. We assembled meetings with the developer and the abutters. And the abutters were unanimously in deep opposition to all the violations, essentially, especially the rooftop deck. Even though the proponent claims it's small and it's towards the middle, it still concerns the neighbors. A single family, they're all single family surrounding except for the apartment building beside it. It's all single family surrounding it. Deeply opposed to that. But I want to register a true safety complaint on this proposal. The proponent stated that he's going to have the driveway that the dump truck to pick up their dumpster was going to pull in and turn around, and there is no turning around for a dump truck in there. He then said, all right, then he'll back up into River Street. It's just irresponsible for the board to allow trucks to back up into River Street. And that would include moving trucks moving in on the 28 residences. No turning around. They have to back up into River Street. This is a roundup. If you're familiar with this road, right there is the sharpest bend on River Street. just as they're approaching the square. You cannot see that existing driveway, and you cannot have trucks be backing up into there. And also, there is only room for one car to come in or come out. You can't have a car waiting on River Street there around that bend, which is it's just a dangerous bend, waiting for another car to come out of the driveway so they can get in. Now, they did say something to the effect that, they're going to work out an agreement with the abutting apartment building next to it to utilize portions of their driveway. And unless the board has a legal easement agreement on site in Evans today, they should give this serious thought.
Thank you.
And I appreciate your time listening to this, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Jessica, I understand.
Amanda?
Yep, go ahead.
Yep, my name is Amanda Ford. I live off Clements Island, and I wanted to register my support for the project for much needed housing in Boston that is multi-family use.
Thank you.
I think so. I have no additional raised hands.
Okay. Does the applicant want to briefly comment before we proceed?
Sure, Madam Chair. I would just say, understanding Mr. Martin's concerns, we do have a support letter from and an agreement with an abutter agreement with our abutter at 7 Lincoln Street to address these issues. So I think we're understanding of the issues, and I think we'll work through them with the abutter and with the BPDA during design review if the board were to approve this project. But
Thank you.
we have support from that abutter who would be most impacted by this, and we'll work with them throughout the process. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions from the board? May I have a motion?
Hi, may
We're in the middle of a motion?
Madam Chair, I think they had their hand raised. I would let them give testimony. Yeah.
The gentleman with the 856, yep, please proceed. With the 0056 number, yep.
I don't have an image, but I would say that I'm the Lincoln Street abutter or to that property, 1081 River Street. And it's such a project that it will definitely, I will lose my quality of life around here. And privacy, peace of mind that we have now. We also, free canopy. And not to mention the 15 cars parking facing my backyard. And that's a lot of pollution because noise, cars, and people going in and out all the time. And also I will lose the privacy when you have all those balconies and the rooftop opening space. So there was a denial permit back in about 5 years ago. So I don't know what makes it different this time.
Okay, so you're in opposition, just to be clear for the record?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other raised hands, Jessica?
1 second, let me check. No, that was a call. Nope, we have no additional raised hands.
Okay, with that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll put forward a motion of approval.
Is there a second?
A second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Logue?
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have case BOA 1523227 with the address of 48 Piedmont Street. It's the applicant and/or the representative present to explain.
Hello?
Domenico? Oh, go
Yes,
ahead.
That is I. I am just the owner of the property, and I was going to defer to the contractors company. There are all the plans and let them explain to you, if that's okay.
Of course. Are they present?
I believe they are. That's their plans that they are showing you now, so I'm going to let her speak.
Who's speaking?
I believe it's Juliana Silva from the MS.
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself. Thank you.
Okay.
I'm Juliana. I'm the contractor for this project. This is a roof deck that we are trying to build. This is going to be in the back of the building, not in the front of the building. So the deck is very small, 15 by 9. It's going to be not the whole roof deck. And I think that's it.
Okay. Are there questions from the board?
I have a 3D design if you want to look how it's gonna look like. If you want me to show you other than the plan. I think that's it.
Okay, are there questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, may we have public testimony?
Hi, yes. Good afternoon, Madam Chair and members of the board. Kim Crucioli from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. And a butters meeting was held by our office in November of 2023 where no opposition was shown. They also presented to the Bay Village Neighborhood Association and they were unopposed as well. We'd like to defer to the board at this time. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Madam of the Chair, members of the board. Ana Calderon from Council President Flink's office. The council would like to go on record in support as we have heard no concerns from the neighbors or abutters. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have no raised hands.
With that, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I'll put forward a motion of approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Logue?
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have case BOA 153-7333 with the address of 68 Tremont Street. Is the applicant and/or the representative present to explain? Carrie Rogers.
Any raised hand, Jessica? Carrie Rogers?
Yes, Madam Chair. I just asked them to unmute.
Thank you.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you.
I just elevated them to a panelist, so they should be able to unmute themselves now.
Okay. Mr. Rogers? Okay.
Yeah, there they are.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you. Sorry for that. Hi. Hello. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Ben Rogers. I'm the owner of 68 Tremont Street, and I'm requesting zoning relief for the building height. And so Charlestown allows for building height to be at 35 feet, and we are asking for relief for 1 foot 11 inches for the roof access room along with the roof deck. This would remain under our limit for the fire ratio. We are doing this for just adequate standing height, which would give an adequate ceiling height.
Are there questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Madam Chair, members of the board, Sean Breen with the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. An abutters meeting was held for 68 Tremont Street on November 2nd. Since that time, this office has received 0 letters in support and 1 in opposition. And just to make note, one of the points in the letter was that the area was not flyed and that they didn't receive a flyer. I did receive proof of flyering through some photos, specifically to that address as well. And it's entirely possible it could have blown away, but with that, we would defer our judgment to the board.
Thank you.
I have no additional raised hands.
I see a Katie Bergener.
Katie Bergener, yes. Hi. Katie Bergener, 66 Tremont Street in Charlestown. As set forth in our letter to the ZBA, my husband and I oppose this variance, which is the second that has been sought for this project. The first involved raising the roof line, and the plan did not show a head house, but rather a roof hatch. The first variance was approved with design review paying special attention to the 3rd floor addition and roof line. What exists today based on construction to date is inconsistent with the approved plans, as the roof line is higher. It hits the peak of our roof, not a few feet down, as shown on the plans. And they've already built a head house on the roof. The new plans continue to show a lower roof line than exists today and shows a large penthouse structure that is both out of keeping with the immediate neighborhood and poses privacy concerns as it allows views into our 3rd floor bedroom through the 4 skylights, which have been part of our house since before we purchased it in 2006. We object to the new variance and respectfully request that non-conforming improvements be removed and the project resume based on the original approved plans.
Thank you. Any other raised hands?
No, thank you.
Can the applicant respond to that, please?
Yes, so we have followed the timeline of every inspection, and we have passed every inspection. The house has been followed by the plans. We do not have a penthouse on top. We do have a staircase that goes to the top. It was weatherized, but again, we have passed and had City of Boston come out for every inspection, and they have approved everything as we've gone along.
Any other questions from the board? Hearing none, may I have a motion?
Madam Chair, I would like to put forward a motion for approval with BPDA review.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wero?
Yes.
Ms. Logue?
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, the motion carries.
Next, we have it's DOA 150-6164 with the address of 23 Hudson Street. Is the applicant and or their representative present to explain?
Hi. Hello.
Yes, can you please put your name and address for the record and proceed?
Yes, my name is Bill Guan, owner of BW Cafe on 23 Hudson Street, Chinatown.
And what is your request?
Just remove the proviso to be a takeout business.
Okay. Any questions from the board? Okay, hearing none, may I have public testimony?
Good afternoon, Madam Chairwoman, Sherry Dong, and members of the board. This is Chu from Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services. This proponent did present in front of the Chinatown Residents Association as well as the Chinatown Neighborhood Council, with neither communities stating any concern. At this time, we would like to defer judgment to the board.
Thank you.
Madam Chair, I have no raised hands.
Good afternoon, Madam of the Chair, members of the board. Ana Calderon from Council President Flink's office. The councilor would like to go on record in support. Thank you.
Thank you. And I'm not sure, is this a Jim Chen speaking in support or opposition?
I was gonna present the project, but the restaurant owner had presented already.
Okay, I think we're good. Any other raised hands?
No, we're all set.
Okay, may I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
May I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Stenbridge?
Yes.
Mr. Valencia?
Yes.
Ms. Wewell?
Yes.
Ms. Logue?
Yes.
Chair also votes yes, motion carries. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, happy holidays to all.
Thank you.
Thank you.